Shalom. First and foremost, I'm going to give all praises, glory, and honor to Yahweh, by Hashem, Yahweh Shai, by Hashem Rakah Kadash. I want to give double honors to the elder apostles of Great Millstone who rule well, and salutations and much love to the rest of you sincere Akim, pushing the word and truth and sincerity. This is the brother Izar coming at you with another lesson. I'm continuing in my lot to bring you my ongoing series from Excerpts of Hollywood, this factory of perverseness. Another observation of predictive programming and how art imitates life and vice versa. Just a reminder, the purpose of my videos is to show correlations. Correlation is an observation of a mutual relationship or connection between two or more things. I use movie scenes to extract or extrapolate a narrative. I'm not glorifying the Hollywood culture or life. I have a wide knowledge of films, whether they be foreign or domestic, and I just use snippets as an example to bring out similarities and those correlations. I call this lesson Revealing Truth, but really revealing lies, deceit, and falsehoods, part 2. I'm going in on these churches once again. All right, the image I have on display is from a movie I watched in my past. Of course, when I came into the truth, I reflected on this particular scene. Let me play this particular scene here, and I'm going to go into the synopsis and bring out some scriptures.
Just look at that damn Watergate scandal. Now, if the leader of our country is stealing and getting away clean, what the hell do they expect us to do? Better believe it, brother. Right on, right. Yeah, true. Yeah. And they've got everything going for them, and we've got nothing. Right on. You can tell us whether it's will or not. Remember, we live here with the rats and roaches, so we don't need no more rats telling us what to do. Amen. We create our own law. That's right. And we don't need no redneck mothers. Oh, yes, Lord. Mothers are the best friends we have. And oh, Lord, look down on us poor servants down here and teach us how to love one another. All right, Reverend, cut the bullshit.
Now, I'm glad that cop, even though he's an Edomite, he had to come in and just tell the pastor to cut the BS. And that's really what a lot of these pastors, especially these pastors in these harlot houses, need to do. They need to just cut the BS, all right? Because that's what they're actually feeding their flock or feeding their people. Now, in this particular scene, this actually is from Dolomite, which was released on April 26, 1975, directed by D'Urville Martin. And Westgate or Wesley Gale plays Reverend Gibbs. Already a crooked pastor. He got some. He has an ulterior motive, and he has guns in the back that he's storing and everything else. And it just reminds me of all the different groups that we have out here today. I'm not going to mention any names, but some of the carnal Israelite groups and some of the militant groups that we have. And I will say, if I was in the world, I probably would have been grabbed up by some like one of these kind of pastors, because it's a lot different than going into a church and hearing about all these different doctrines. And most churches nowadays, they're just giving an inspirational speech, and they're getting into their emotions. And that's these females get caught up in these churches, and that's another reason why they're called harlot houses. All right, but we're not going to be taking up arms against Esau, because his blessing is the sword. And we're not going to be creating laws or trying to establish our own communities and trying to segregate ourselves on this land that is Babylon the Great, aka America, because its ultimate future is destruction. And that's another thing these pastors aren't bringing out. They're not bringing out the future of Babylon the Great, aka America. They're not telling the people, the blacks, Native Americans, and Latinos, who they are, that they're the true biblical Israelites. They're not going into the MOTB, which is the RFID microchip. And the reason why they're not going to do that is because they're not going to be able to get their tithes and their offerings in the future. All right. And that's mainly what they're in it for, just for as a business just to make money. And these mega churches that are throughout the United States of America and Babylon here, that's what they are. They're just big franchises. Like some of these mega churches have a headquarters maybe located in another part of the country, and they have like a satellite branch that's in another city. And they've all taken the 501c, which is it's a tax law, or I'm not sure what the actual name of it is, but it gives them the benefit of not having to pay taxes. Some of them are just in it for that. But one of the things with that 501c is that they can't bring out the truth. They can't tell their congregation, who they are and what the precepts are actually meaning, and the actual gospel of the good news and so forth. But going back to this particular scene about this pastor, like I said, he had guns in the back and so forth, and I'm not going to mention any names of the groups that are picking up arms. Be doing that because when you read Hebrews chapter 10 verse 30, it clearly says, "For we know him that hath said, Vengeance belongeth unto me, I will recompense, saith the Lord. And again, the Lord shall judge his people." Okay, and who's his people? It's the Israelites. Okay, and our people will be judged, especially these fake pastors and these fake preachers, and these pork chop eating pastors and preachers that we're always bringing out, and the lies that they're spreading to our people. But the judgment will start at the house of Israel. But we also have a church down here in Tampa that I used to attend a long time ago. I want to say maybe 15 years ago or so. And they use this particular scripture as their vision or mission statement. And they clearly don't know how to read because they're using it incorrectly. And they're leading their congregation into a burning building. But they bring out Jeremiah 33 and 6. Jeremiah 33 and 6, where it says, "The Most High will reveal unto you the abundance of peace, prosperity, security, stability, health, healing, and truth." And only 2 verses up, this particular chapter is dealing with the restoration of Israel. But like I said, these pastors and these pork chopping pastors and preachers will take certain scriptures and use it to their own means. But when you read up on verse 4 in the same chapter, which is dealing with the restoration that's promised to Israel and only to Israel, verse 4 clearly says, "For thus saith the Lord, the God of Israel, concerning the houses of this city, and concerning the houses of the kings of Judah, which are thrown down by the mounts and by the sword." Okay, so just like I was saying earlier about how these pork chop eating pastors and preachers aren't warning their people, and they're using scriptures to their own means. And this particular verse clearly says that it's talking about Israel and Judah. Israel will be the northern kingdom, and Judah will be the southern kingdom. Okay, but basically, they're not building the faith, and they're not feeding the flock, or they're feeding the sheep, as is commanded by Yahweh Shai. Because when you read John chapter 21 verse 16, it clearly says that you are to feed the sheep. But these pork chop eating pastors were not sent by the Most High. They're not warning the people about the coming famine of the word, the famine of the food that's not going to be available. And when you read Jeremiah chapter 14 verse 15, it clearly says that the Most High hasn't sent them. Okay, they haven't been given the eye salve or the blessing to be open to understand what these scriptures are really talking about, so they can feed their congregation with wholesome words. Okay, because it clearly says that Proverbs 15 verse 4, it says a wholesome tongue is a tree of life. But these harlot houses are just clearly death for our people. All right, just a bunch of wickedness going on, adultery, whoremongering. They don't go into the Levitical law. They don't even talk about what foods you're supposed to be eating. They don't even bring out any of the prophecies. They don't teach you that there's prophecies that are in the Old Testament that haven't even been fulfilled yet. And basically, they're not even building up the faith of their congregation. And they're just spreading a lot of lies and deceit. But Psalms chapter 119, verse 29 talks about remove me from the way of lying. All right. And you're not going to get anything from lies, because once you say one lie, you have to always make up another lie to back up the lie you just told. Okay. But these pastors are really making these people err, and they're crying peace, just like in Micah chapter 3, verse 5. And then they're constantly talking about peace and how right now we're getting back into the way it was prior to beginning of 2020 with this pandemic. And they're saying peace when there is no peace, as it pertains to Jeremiah chapter 6, verse 14. But there's going to be a time when they're going to say peace and safety, and sudden destruction will come upon them. Just like it says in 1 Thessalonians chapter 5, verse 3. Okay. But a lot of these pastors have gotten rich off of the tithes and offerings of the congregation. And it's all by a lying tongue. And Proverbs chapter 21 talks about that, getting a treasure by a lying tongue. Okay. But going in back to talking about that faith, you're only going to have faith knowing about the future of Babylon by hearing and understanding these prophecies and understanding these precepts that have already been given to us, starting with the elder and apostles of Great Millstone on down. But Romans chapter 10, verse 17 says, so then faith cometh by hearing, and hearing by the word of the Most High. Okay. But a lot of these false pastors, all these false teachers, they're going to have to pay for their wicked doctrine and their lies that they've been spreading to their people. When you read Titus chapter 1, it goes into about that, the correction of the false teachers. Titus chapter 1 started verse 10. For there are many unruly and vain talkers and deceivers, especially they of the circumcision, whose mouths must be stopped, who subvert whole houses, teaching things which they ought not, for filthy lucre's sake. Now, filthy lucre's sake, talk about that money. Verse 12, one of themselves, even a prophet of their own, saying, the Cretans are always liars, evil beasts, slow bellies. This witness is true. Wherefore rebuke them sharply, that they may be sound in the faith. See, there's that word faith. Not giving heed to Jewish fables and commandments of men that turn from the truth. Unto the pure all things are pure, but unto them that are defiled and unbelieving is nothing pure, but even their mind and conscience is defiled. Wow, I like that. Even their mind and conscience is defiled. All right. Verse 16, they profess that they know the Most High, but in works they deny him, being abominable and disobedient, and unto every good work reprobate. Okay. All right. Because like I was saying earlier, these pork chop eating pastors, if it doesn't seem like they even have a conscience, but if they do, it's defiled, because the scriptures say that, and they're not building up their faith, their congregation, to let them know that what's going to be happening pretty soon, and it's all going to come back on their head. All right. And it's really a shame, because a lot of our people have been searching for the truth and wondering why things are happening in the way they are happening in their life. And when you read Jeremiah chapter 50, verse 6, it says, my people have been lost sheep. Their shepherds have caused them to go astray. You see, their shepherds have caused them to go astray. Who is that shepherd? It's the pastor or the preacher. Yeah, but the ultimate shepherd is Yahweh Shai, the one we English call Jesus Christ. And he hasn't turned us away. These pastors have. They have turned them away on the mountains. They have gone from mountain to hill, and they have forgotten their resting place. Okay, because America, Babylon the Great, this isn't our rest. The rest is when we get into the kingdom. Okay. But these pastors, like I said, are going to pay for scattering the sheep. The scriptures say it. When you read Jeremiah chapter 23, verse 1, it says, woe be unto the pastors that destroy and scatter the sheep of my pasture, saith Yahweh. See, woe is that destruction. All right, so they're going to be destroyed. All right, we skip down to verse 11. It talks about how they lie, the lying prophets. For both prophet and priest are profane, Yea, in my house have I found their wickedness, saith Yahweh. And we go into that word profane, it talks about being defiled or being polluted, being totally corrupt. I'm just going to end it on this. We're going to go into Ezekiel 34, talking about the prophecy against Israel's shepherds. Okay, Ezekiel chapter 34, I'm going to start at verse 1. And the word of the Lord came unto me, saying, Son of man, prophesy against the shepherds of Israel. Prophesy and say unto them, Thus saith the Lord power unto the shepherds, Woe be to the shepherds of Israel that do feed themselves. Should not the shepherds feed the flocks? Verse 3, Yea, eat the fat, and ye clothe ye with the wool. Ye kill them that are fed, but ye feed not the flock. Okay. Verse 2 is very powerful. It says, Woe be to the shepherds of Israel that do feed themselves. That's what they do. You know, these pastors, they go out, these pork chop eating pastors, not all of them, but a great deal of them, especially in these mega churches, they go out and they buy these big mansions, and, you know, they have all these different exotic cars and so forth. We had one pastor down here in Tampa, he brought his car into the lobby of the church. He had a new stereo system that he put in, everything else, rims and whatnot, and interior was all decked out. And after seeing these things, I was like, the woman I was married to at the time, I had to tell her, I was like, hey, I got to get out of here. I got to get away from these people. You know, I don't want to raise my kids up in a church. You know, all they're talking about is prosperity, and we're not bringing on any scriptures. But let's go back to Ezekiel 34. Let me start at verse 4. The disease have ye not strengthened, neither have ye healed that which was sick. All right, neither have ye bound up that which was broken, neither have ye brought again that which was driven away, neither have ye sought that which was lost, but with force and with cruelty have ye ruled them. Oh man, let me read that again. The disease have ye not strengthened, neither have ye healed that which was sick, neither have ye bound up that which was broken, neither have ye brought again that which was driven away, neither have ye sought that which was lost, but with force and with cruelty have ye ruled them. Oh, that's really powerful, because you know when you don't have the truth, and you're only dealing with what you know, and you have your own understanding that's developed in your own mind. You know, you're sick. You know, and the job of these pastors and these preachers to be leading you to the direction so you're strengthened and you're healed, but they don't do that. If anything, they make it worse for you. You know, if they're speaking about prosperity and you're on these jobs and you're going through all this hell, they're not even telling you why you're going through all this hell. Underneath Esau, you know, the so-called white man, having to work for him and blood, sweat, and tears, and having to come home to an unruly house. You know, and you wonder why your people are passing away at the degree that they are. Let's go verse 5. And they were scattered, because there is no shepherd, see, and they became meat to all the beasts of the field when they were scattered. All right, because that's what a shepherd's job is supposed to do. Stay on top of the flock and make sure they're not led astray, but are killed by a lion, tiger, or bear. All right. Verse 6. My sheep wandered through all the mountains and upon every high hill. Yea, my flock was scattered upon all the face of the earth, and none did search or seek after them. And that's specifically talking about the nation of Israel, you blacks, Native Americans, and Latinos. You know, whether if you were raised in a church and you were under certain denominations, you're all under all false doctrines. You know, whether it be Catholic, Christian, or even Muslim, or Islam, I should say. Okay, verse 7. Therefore, ye shepherds, hear the word of Yahweh. As I live, saith the Lord power, surely because my flock became a prey, and my flock became meat to every beast of the field, because there was no shepherd. Neither did my shepherds search for my flock, but the shepherds fed themselves. Wow, that's a very powerful chapter there. Okay, well, I just wanted to share that. And like I say, these pastors, these so-called pastors, these so-called preachers, and even these so-called other Israelites from other different camps that aren't speaking out their correct doctrine, they're eventually going to have to pay for for them misleading the people. Okay. I just hope, Lord willing, this lesson was edifying. I want to give all praises to Yahweh, by Hashem Yahweh Shai, who gives me the strength and spirit to continue to strive and endure in these last days. Shalom to the hopeful elect, and on to the next video.